Gary Ridgway, better known as the Green River Killer, was one of the most prolific and terrifying serial killers in American history. Over the course of 2 decades, Ridgway is believed to have murdered at least 49 women in the Seattle area, with some estimates suggesting the actual number could be much higher. His victims were primarily young women, many of whom were prostitutes or runaways, whom he picked up in the Seattle area. He would often lure them to secluded locations such as forests or remote areas near the Green River, where he would strangle them to death. Ridgway would then dump their bodies in remote areas, often returning to the sites to have sex with the corpses. The victims of Gary Ridgway suffered a great deal before their deaths. Many of them were sexually assaulted and tortured before being killed. In some cases, Ridgway would use ligatures or strangulation to subdue and kill his victims, while in others, he would use his bare hands. Some of the victims were left in shallow graves, while others were thrown into the river, where they would be carried away by the current. It is extremely rare for a victim of Gary Ridgway to have escaped and survived, as he was known to be a meticulous and brutal killer. However, there was one known survivor, a woman named Rebecca Ridgway, who was attacked by Ridgway in 1982. She was able to fight him off and escape, and went to the police with a description of her attacker and his vehicle. Unfortunately, the police were not able to identify Ridgway as the perpetrator at the time, and he continued his killing spree for many years. It wasn't until 2001, when advances in forensic science allowed investigators to link Ridgway to the murders through DNA evidence, that he was finally arrested and charged. In 1982, Ridgway was arrested for soliciting prostitution, and a saliva sample was taken from him as part of his booking process. Years later, in 2001, investigators were able to use DNA testing on the saliva sample to link Ridgway to the murders of several of his victims. Ridgway remained in prison for the rest of his life, and he died in 2021 at the age of 72. Despite his death, the legacy of his crimes and the pain he inflicted on so many people continues to be felt to this day.